What's good, people? You're tuned into the Liverpool City Community Podcast. Don't really see me on here much. I am Royzy Rothschild. Today I've got my guest with me. He goes by the name of Phil Hartley.
That is the name, what?
He is the bass player for Space, but a man that holds many hats, from building guitars and bass with his new company, all-round label genius. He used to run Anti-Pop Records and so much more. So how are we, Phil? You good?
I'm good, you know what? Yeah, very, very good. Keeping on with things, like.
It's really good to have you on the show. Obviously, you used to be my producer, like in 2001, 2005. Yeah. I haven't seen the guy now for like 17 years. We've just linked up today for a coffee, so really excited to do this interview. Was going to be Chase, but I'm doing it. We'll just get straight into it. Know what I mean? So you've been doing music over 30 years. Let's start. Where did it start?
Started when I was probably 7 years old. But my dad always played. He always had organs and guitars and pianos all around the house. So I'd always pick things up. So there's pictures of me tinkling on pianos and organs from when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I started seriously getting piano lessons when I was 7. And then started jamming with my sister, playing in bands. Well, me and my sister played drums. I played key. We were gigging constantly, all the time. And then probably started picking up guitars and basses around 8 and 9. Started playing bass when I was 11. And then just was in bands from then on, pretty much constantly. Do you know what I mean? Different kinds of bands, different music.
How did you find that, being 11 years old, being in bands? Because pretty much everything now, you've got to be 18 plus to like get on a venue, or was it different back then?
It was very different back then, mate, to be honest. Because when we were gigging, when me and my sister were gigging, we were playing a lot of working men's clubs and social clubs and all that kind of shit. So obviously it was a lot of older people. And they were all drinking and all that kind of stuff. But there was always, you'd have like the bingo, you'd have like a couple of artists or maybe a comedian, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we'd play just loads of different music all pop music from across the years, you know what I mean? So I did that for years, mate. Got to the point where we were out like 5 nights a week, me and my sister. In quite a bit of dough.
Was you playing for your sister, or as two separate bands?
No, me and my sister had a duo. So we'd go out and play, you know what I mean, and like sing some tunes and whatever, take requests and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of fun, you know what I mean? So it wasn't until I was like 11 or 12 that I started playing in bands, as in like rock and roll music or whatever. That's kind of how it progressed. And then slowly but surely you'd be playing different venues in town, because there was a lot more venues in town back then. A lot of different kind of venues, so from like the Bunnymen days and all that kind of stuff. And there was so many venues. They were always busy. People used to just go out. You'd just go out to gig. You wouldn't go and see a band particularly. You'd just go out to a venue and there'd be bands on. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the way it was. Everywhere was busy. Do you know what I mean? Well,
we get a little bit of that at the record label, because we just get the passers-by that, they hear the music and they're like, oh, what's going on in there? And we'll come in. But I'm sure back then it was a little more often than what it is now. You know what I mean?
It was different. It was you know what it was? That a lot of people of my age say this. The thing that changed was the karaoke thing. When the karaoke thing came, they realised they didn't have to pay artists, because the punters are just entertaining themselves. And literally that's what changed. That happened, and all the venues disappeared pretty much. A lot of like pubs and working men's clubs would not bother paying people, so they just put a karaoke thing in there, and then it saved them money. They earn money on the bar, and then no one cared. You know what I mean?
That's the first time I've heard that. Over the years, I've heard the internet's killed this and that's killed that, but no one's ever said the karaoke has killed.
That's what happened. Probably like mid to late 80s that happened. But before that, there was always an act on in every club. And obviously before the karaoke thing brought in the backing track singers. People that put a tape on and then sing. Do you know what I mean? That's how that started. Before that, it was always a band. It was always musicians in a room playing and people singing songs. That was the big thing that changed. And I see that because I was a kid when it happened. I was gigging heavily when the change happened. Do you know what I mean? And we started getting less gigs. And that's when I discovered punk rock, and the whole thing changed. Do you know what I mean? Everything changed for me after that.
So who was it with the punk rock scene that you really, you know, absorbed and took on and thought, you know what, I like this, I'm going to progress with it?
It's funny, I was talking about this yesterday, it's very, very funny. It's a weird little story. My older cousin, who's a tattooist, and quite a well-known tattooist in Liverpool, he owns Derma Graffiti on Bowl Street, used to be in Quiggins for years. He was always into like all the cock rock and glam, you know, like Guns N' Roses and Bullet Boys and Cinderella and all these kind of bands, but he was into a lot of punk rock as well. Bands like Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and all this kind of stuff. And I remember getting a tape. I can't remember if it was actually him who gave me it or if it was one of his mates that gave me it. But what he was trying to get me to listen to was the other side of this tape. And it was like, oh, don't worry about the other side. Just listen to this album. You're going to love this album. And it was all right. But when I got to the end, I turned the tape over. And when I turned the tape over, I heard this band that changed my life. It was a band called the Minutemen.
The Minutemen?
The Minutemen, yeah. And they were on a hardcore punk label called SST, Black Flag's label. And Minutemen were, they were a three-piece band, but all the guitars were clean. There was no distortion. You know what I mean? And I grew up on country music, so I loved all that shit, you know, like all the low, twangy riffs and all this kind of stuff. And it just turned out that I heard this guy playing the bass, like I've never heard anyone play it before, because it was right up front. Like right there, you could hear it. And I went to my dad and went, Dad, I think I want to play bass. And he was like, really? Because he plays guitar and guitars around. He's like, really, you want to play bass? I was like, yeah, I'm just digging it. This dude's boss. And a couple of days later, I had a bass. So what I mean, he went out and got me a bass. Boss little Fender Jazz bass it was. Old one. It sounded great, you know what I mean? I was made up with it. And ever since then, well, weirdly since then, I've got to know him really well. Mike Watt, the bass player from Minutemen. He's a really good mate of mine. I've played with him loads of times and toured with him, and you know what I mean.
It's good that someone that's inspired you can actually sit down with.
I was in a band called Superfast Girly Show for a few years, and we used to do loads of gigs with Mike. And the amount of times he'd be there standing watching us, you know what I mean. And we even did a few of his tunes at him, do you know what I mean. He came and stood in front of the barrier, and we were playing, and I just got to the end of the tune, I went, okay. And weirdly, the very first tune I ever heard him play was called, on that cassette, it was called Bob Dylan Wrote Propaganda Songs. And I just started playing the riff to it, and the drummer knew the tune. Do you know what I mean? And Al just went and clicked in, and we just played it. And it was boss. And Mike was stood there going, yeah, no way. Because he hadn't played it for years. The original guitar player from that band was killed in a car accident right before Christmas as well.
What, this year or?
No, this was 1988. 1988 he died, I think.
This is the first time I've heard of the Minutemen.
Minutemen were massive, mate. Massive. The guy ended up playing for Iggy Pop and the Stooges. He was their bass player with the Stooges. And we got to play with the Stooges. It was great watching Iggy Pop. Man. Iggy was like a major inspiration for me, you know what I mean? Even now, if you watch Iggy Pop live, he's like 78, mate, and he'll kill anybody. No one performs like Iggy Pop. No one. Even now, do you know what I mean? He's a special man, you know what I mean? He's cool. You know I mean?
You've done loads of work with them, haven't you?
Yeah, we've played loads of times.
Or friends that are doing work with them.
That's the thing. There's been a load of weird associations with them over the years. Various things. Even back, it started, the main thing with the Stooges started because we did Chester Rocks. Our manager, Space's manager, did festival Chester Rocks, and he said to me, give me a list of all the bands that you'd like to see play. Right at the top of the list was Iggy and the Stooges. And he got them.
That's heavy. That's what you want, isn't it?
Like, boss. Yeah, he got them, so that was kind of cool, you know what I mean?
That's it.
Sometimes they always say don't meet your heroes, but every time I've ever met them, they've always been boss, mate. Always been absolute diamonds, you know what I mean? So that's cool.
I remember feeling like that when I met Nas, the rap artist from New York. Nas, probably one of the highlights of my career, or being, should we say.
Was he good?
He was just sound, you know what I mean? He's a very humble guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you generally find I got to know, do you know who Jalal Mansour Ridden is? The Last Poets?
I have heard of the Last Poets.
The Last Poet, the first ever rapper ever. He invented the art form in the mid-60s. The Last Poets. I got to know him really well.
Do you know what? I think in 2000 4, you actually passed me a CD.
Yeah, did.
He had features off Method Man, and stuff like that on there. Yeah.
This is the thing. There's my mate Abdul Malik. He got to know him really, really well, and used to hang out with him. He's just written a book about him. Actually, he passed away about 4 years ago, Jalal. But he was one of them crazy kind of people. He lived in Liverpool for years.
Yeah.
He lived in a small little humble house, hardly anything in there, just like a desk with a typewriter, and he was a really simple
workaholic.
Total workaholic. Lovely man. He lived in Miles Davis's building in the 70s. You know what I mean? He knew everybody, mate. Met Hendrix and all that. And he used to just sit there, just telling you stories, mate. And it was bizarre. It was really mad, because I remember hearing the Hustlers convention, that first, and his band is Cool and the Gang, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people who were playing on it. And it's just mad. I couldn't even believe I'd met him. It was just so surreal, especially as like a 17, 18-year-old kid. You know what I mean? And there's fucking Jalal sat in front of you. Just like, what? And he was so nice, mate. He was so lovely. Got to do a few gigs with him, play some bits with him, and he was amazing, mate. Absolute diamond. And now there's a big documentary about him, and it's got everyone in it, mate. Or like Chuck D, everyone talking about how much of a legend Jalal is. You know what I mean? It's just like, what? It's mad, isn't it?
It sounds sick.
Strange. And he was in Liverpool. Like,
just a quick one. Just make sure the mic is close to you, otherwise sometimes it doesn't pick up. Do you get me?
Yeah,
you don't want to be losing all this good talk, know what I mean? But so after, obviously, you've gone out there, the social clubs, working with your sister, karaoke came, killed the music a little bit, still striving. What did you do from there? Because obviously you've done a lot, haven't you? Know what I mean?
Well, from there, I did a lot of dance music, a lot of production, which is probably how we met in a way. I had a small little studio, and I was basically using samplers. Chopping bits of sound up off vinyl and wherever we could get it, and then making beats out of it. We did. I worked on quite a few bands. There was a early hip hop band in Liverpool called First in Command.
Do you know what, right?
Pest Control.
Yeah. So the thing with this, shout out to my guy, goes by the name of DJ Too Kind.
Yeah, man.
So that project, I remember you telling me about them before I met them. If that makes any sense. So I've met them all. So you got like, Mensa, you got Mervyn Lynch, DJ Too Kind,
absolutely,
and you got Oliver Bean, which they've all gone on to DJ, BBC Radio, In Demand, and obviously do different things and that. So I for the fact that I know them personally, and you've got you produced them is quite sick.
Well, it wasn't. It was Dave Harry, really. It was. There was a famous studio or famous dance band in Liverpool called Oceanic. And he did, do you remember the tune, Take Me Into Insanity?
Oh, yeah.
The big 90s hit.
Yeah.
That was him. That was his studio. That was all done. The First in Command album was done in his studio.
Yeah.
And there was a few of us who worked on different beats, and he had a few rooms, and it was all hands on deck, basically. It was like, can you chop this thing up, and need this beat doing for that, and need that doing for that, and there was a load of people who were quite big heads around Liverpool at the time who all got to work on it. It was just when it all come together and we heard the final thing, it was just one of the coolest things ever. I don't know if have you the record now. You heard the tune on Bits and Pieces.
Of the Pest Control?
Yeah.
I can't remember all the tracks, but I've heard the album.
There was a funny story. They'll probably all tell you about it. There was a funny story that Westwood played them all.
Yeah.
They kept sending him the odd tune down, and he played the tune and he battered it, mate. He battered it. And you know Merv and his little his piss takes. He did this piss take of Westwood. And when he finally got the album, he heard this thing and he was like, all pies and gravy and all that, mate. And he just ripped the shit out of him, and he never played them again.
That's
After
heavy.
After that, he just lost it, lad, and just never played it again. I thought it was the funniest thing ever, lad.
Don't know whether you want to be played by Westwood with all the rumours that have been going on.
It's funny how all that shit happens, though, isn't it? These things come. But to be honest, back in the day, lad, he broke everyone.
Yeah.
He broke everybody. And there's nothing you can say about it. You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's like, is Bill Cosby no longer funny? He's still funny, mate. It's like,
I've never heard that one, lad.
You can't take it away from him. This is the thing, innit? That show was so important back then, lad.
Yeah, it was.
For so many things. It's like, okay, he's an ass, but you know, people.
There wasn't really a platform in the UK for hip hop and rap music.
There really wasn't, lad.
Yeah.
And the fact that First in Command got there, and they did get there. It was a great thing, and it was the. Do you know Shakti?
I'm good friends with Mach. Mach was in here the other week. Mach of all shades in here the other week.
I love Mach, mate. Me and Mach go way back, many years. I sold him loads of gear years ago, and when he first did that, it always reminded me of the First in Command kind of situation, because it was the Scouse rap thing, you know what I mean? And there's not many people really done it well. You know what I mean? And a few of them have done it. And Reuven, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I remember Reuven.
You know what I mean? All that kind of cats. But all that period, they all kind of came up at similar times and then broke it a few years apart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was always around for each time of it. I was always made up when it happened. You know what I mean? Like, I've still got all them albums now. Still occasionally pull them out and just like, fuck, remember that? That's so good. Like, but
is it the Mach? Actually, Mach of all shades produced my first single.
Yeah,
I know that you produced the first few mixtapes that I've done. I think it was like 4 or 5 mixtapes that you done with me. But the Mach produced the song Jessica. That's his beat.
Oh yeah.
That's his music.
Shout out Mach as well. Absolute legend of a man.
So from there. So we're at 1995 now, aren't we?
1995.
Yeah. Where'd you go from there then?
From there, oh Jesus, The Real People, famous Liverpool band that wrote half of Oasis's first album.
Yeah.
I ended up playing keyboards for them.
Yeah.
For quite a while, good few years. Worked in the studio with them. And then Space happened.
Yeah.
I was originally a roadie for Space. This was the keyboard player actually got me a job in a company called Studio K, and the reason he got me the job was because there was no one in the company that knew about keyboards and samplers and shit, and he needed someone to get him the gear and look after his shit, you know? So he gets me the job pretty much. I start working there and they blow up, the band goes massive, and I end up working for them pretty much. And then the funny part about it was our office and their studio were right next door to each other. So I was just constantly in and out of that studio, working, just producing things, putting beats together, helping them out, giving them like jungle loops and all this kind of stuff. It was mental, mate. And we ended up touring. And
was the first album called Spiders?
Spiders, yeah. It's just been reissued recently.
I remember that because I think at the time I must have been 13 or 14, maybe 15, I don't know, I can't remember the exact date, but I always remember my auntie going, check out the new album, Space Spiders. You know what I mean? I always remember just like holding the CD cover, just looking at it, going, it looks sick, this, know what I mean?
That's right.
Do you get me? Yeah.
It's right.
So
we're touring next year. The old guitar player Jamie's coming back. We're going to play the first 2 albums, Spiders and Tim Planet, in the whole thing together. So not exactly in order, but we can't play them in order, you know what I mean?
Yeah. was Space in that war with Oasis and Belair? If you remember, he was like a Brit-pop.
Yeah,
he called it a Brit-pop, didn't he? Was he like a war, was he?
Everyone said to us that we were part of the Brit-pop thing, but we never were. It was just around that time. It just didn't sound like any of them bands, you know what I mean? There was the north end, the northwest, like Manchester scene of the Oasis thing, and there was what we used to call the southern pansy Blair thing, do you know what I mean? But what's weird about it is I always preferred Blair to Oasis. I never liked Oasis myself. Never at all, do you know what I mean? It was just never my thing.
I forget the lead singer's name from Blair, but they've gone on to the Gorillaz, isn't it?
The man's a genius, lad. Absolutely.
I like the Gorillaz. I love the music that they're putting out.
Even he did. I went to see his other band that he did with Paul Simonon, who was the bass player from The Clash, one of my all-time favourite bands. And they were called The Good, The Bad and The Queen, and that was good. That was a great little thing. Everything he's one of them people, and everything he puts his mind to is really good. Do you know what I mean? He's a great writer. He's a visionary. He's one of these people that he comes up with the sound of a band or of a thing he wants to do, and when he pursues it, and it always turns out good, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? There's a quality about it that's really, really good. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's who I'm a big fan of Damon.
I did like Blair. I did.
Great band.
I'm on the fence though. Blair, Oasis. I like both bands. Know what I mean? I'm not going to pick one.
I never liked Oasis. Me, I just there was just something about it I just couldn't bear. You know what I mean? It was like no.
The fact that they're from Manchester.
No,
the whole Liverpool Manchester thing going on.
To do with that, lad, not at all. And the weird thing is, I've gotten to know both Liam and Noel since then. It's kind of funny. Liam's lovely, mate. Really nice fella. Really, really nice. I work with a lad called Louis Berry, who's a Scouser from Kirby, from a few streets away from where I grew up. He's a great songwriter, and he's played with Liam a few times. He's a good lad, mate. He's a nice fella. And when I worked with Shaq in the early noughties on an album called On the Corner of Miles and Gill. Which I worked on a little bit, and Noel put it out. And we did a few tours with The Who. Toured with The Who.
With The Who,
and Oasis, played with Oasis as well. Yeah, that was kind of fun.
I think The Who went back on tour last year, I think, or was it this year? I've seen the posters knocking round.
Can I say, I went to go see The Who, but then they ended up being sick. So I couldn't see them, and
shame.
I'm devastated. So if you see this, I want to freak out.
But to be honest, when
you're not meant to say anything, you're on the tech test.
When I toured with them, one of my all-time favourite bass players was playing bass for them. A guy called Pino Palladino. Do you know what?
I've heard that name before.
Do you know D'Angelo?
Yeah.
He played bass on all that D'Angelo stuff, the Brown Sugar and Voodoo and all that. He's one of the best bass players on earth. I got to know him, lad. I got to sit in front of him for all these dates on this tour and watch Pino Palladino play. And the drummer was Zach Starkey, Ringo's son. Do you know what I mean? I'd known Zach a little bit before through Shaq anyway. But honestly, Pino was magic, and I got to play that bass. He's got a really famous 63 P bass, which is the year I play now as well. But every day I just sit there while they were setting up and just go and hang out in the bass thing and just pick up a 63 bass, the one that had played everything. You know what I mean? It was on all the D'Angelo records, and I'm sitting there jamming on it, going, "Yeah, lad, this is sick." So good, mate. He was a lovely dude, really, really nice dude. And I've met him since at a Fezzy. He was playing with John Mayer, and they were headlining a Fezzy that we played when we, I think it was the Isle of Wight. It was one of them big
Isle of Wight Fest. And
as I was walking through the VIP thing, Pino goes, "Hey Phil, how you doing?" I was just like, "Yeah, he knows my name." Come on. It was past that. You know what I mean? Lovely man. Really nice man there. Good.
So from there, where are we going? That's the noughties, isn't it?
That was that was late 90s into noughty. Well, we probably get to the early noughties. Space kind of winds down. We break up for a little while, and then I end up making records again, mostly working in like Park Street, and I have my own studio, Highfield Street. Literally a stone's throw from where we sat here.
But wasn't you a teacher at Lipper as for a small period of time?
A very small period of time. That was earlier on. That was when Lipper first opened. I got sent there because I was on the dole. And this was before the building existed. So me and my mate went and did a course in there basically to keep our dole. And when the building opened, I knew everybody in there anyway, and they needed a tech. And so I went, go on, I'll help you out and do a little bit for tech. And then one of the lads that was teaching the music production course quit and got off. Do you know what I mean? And they were like, I need someone to teach Cubase. Will you teach Cubase?
Cubase.
Oh God, yeah, go on then. So it didn't last very long. I was only there a few months. And then in the end, after that, I ended up going back years later after I'd had a couple of hits making records. Only like they asked me to do a masterclass. Yeah, that didn't happen too many times after that because I insulted all the staff. Just told them they were all full of shit. You know what I mean? It was quite bad, but it was one of them things. It was like they had people teaching who had never made a record before.
Yeah. I say this a lot because obviously that I'm a teacher myself, and I teach music industry, and like some of the stuff that people are coming up to me, I'm like, yo, that's on you, like for the majors, like this is not for this level. You know what I mean? Do you get me? And just little things. So I know where you're coming from with that.
It's experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the old saying goes: those that can't teach, and you see it all the time. It's really, really mad. There's not many places where you can go where there's like an old legend teaching. Do you know what I mean? Because to be fair, when I grew up, I learned making records in Amazon Studios and Keylink Studios and small.
None of these are going anymore.
None of them exist anymore. Yeah. So there was no universities, there was no college. You couldn't go to a college to learn how to make a record. You made tea for 3 years. That's what you did. You went in the studio, you cleaned up after people, you tied mic leads around your arm, got told off for it. Do you know what I mean? And then I learned editing tape, because when I first started, there was no Pro Tools, it was tape, analog 2-inch tape. So I'd be sitting there and he'd teach me how to edit a tape. Do you know what I mean? And you getting your razor blade out and your chalk and measure it out and then put it on the block, put it together so there's no zoop. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of shit. I learned how to reverse thing. I'd find you get a 2-inch tape and you put a little ruler next to it, and I could find out where each of the 24 tracks were. You go, see that guitar on track 16? I want to reverse it. Oh, do you? Yeah. So you get time, mate. So you get your ruler out, you find out where track 16 is, you get your razor blade out, get it between the heads, and then literally turn it backwards. And then that guitar goes zoop, zoop. Do you know what I mean? It's like I learned all that growing up, and it was like early 90s when Pro Tools and all that stuff came out. And I was using like Cubase on an Atari.
Cubase is a blast from the past, lad. I haven't used Cubase
with me samplers, racks and racks of samplers, lad. It's like,
is it still going? Cubase?
Is it still a popular thing now? Still going. So where were we anyway? Oh yeah, Lipper.
Yeah.
So Northeast. Yeah, I ended up
masterclass.
Did the master classes, which was kind of funny, but it's just not for me, mate. I'm not. It just didn't. I'm not a good teacher. I'm good at explaining things to people, but I haven't got patience. Do you know what I mean? I can't be arsed with all that, especially with people trying to tell you what to do. And it's like, aren't you the student? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you don't do it that way, you do it this way. It's like, where's the rules, lad? And plus the other funny thing was, it was all about high fidelity, and all my favourite records sound shit. Like all of them. Do you know what I mean? It's all about the vibe, and most of them were made in like bedrooms and small little studios, and they went, you know what I mean? I don't like the big hype.
Music's a point of opinion. There isn't a right or a wrong way to do it. There isn't a certain sound. It's just what's popular, what's not.
It's what people like.
There's
no wrong note. There's no such thing as a wrong note. Do you know what I mean? There just isn't. Miles Davis said it right. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely no wrong notes. It's what you do with it that counts. You know what I mean?
That's what I found out after 25 years. Just constant music. You know what I mean?
I had a lot of experience making different records for different bands and helping. Doing loads. I worked on so many records for so many different bands in so many different capacities that it's like I learned the industry my way. Do you know what I mean? I learned how to be a runner, how to be a tape op, how to be an engineer, how to be a producer, how to arrange. You know what I mean? I do orchestral arrangements now.
Well, out of all the different roles, because obviously you wear many hats. I wear many hats myself. You know what I mean? Out of all the different roles, what do you think's your favourite?
Such a hard question, because as you know, you get I like to wear different hats to change my day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I started making guitars. It was kind of, but I don't. One thing I love arranging music. So more so than just writing. I like I do a lot of music to picture, and I do trailers and all this kind of stuff. But one thing I love doing, I like getting someone's vision, someone's song and melody, reimagining it in me head, and Tommy's great. Tommy Scott, space singer, is great at this. We did an album together, a solo album called Marionette, and it started out just like him on guitar. It was all the mellower stuff that basically didn't sound like space. So we did it, and then it got left on a shelf for a couple of years with a guy called Paul Hemmings, who was in the Lars and the Lightning Seeds and all that. So we did this record, and then over lockdown, Tommy goes, "I'd love to put that record out, you know." It's like, oh, okay, let me see. I'll go and I'll dig it out, and we'll see. And he goes, "Do you want to orchestrate it?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You know, do what you do on it." I was like, okay. So I hadn't listened to it for 5 years. You know what I mean? I hadn't listened to it since the day I played bass on it. And I started listening to it, and then literally on the time I listened to the album start to finish, my brain just exploded with ideas. And it ended up being like a Morricone kind of thing, like an Ennio Morricone. Like it's great. There's one track on it called "The Ghost of New Orleans," and I basically made an entire New Orleans brass band. And it had this awful middle eight. Like it was awful. And I just went, "Tom, I hope you don't mind, but I've deleted the middle eight." And he goes, "What do you mean you've deleted the middle eight?" I was like, "Well, to be honest, lad, I'm not going to mean to be blunt, but it was shit. It was terrible, you know what I mean? But I've done something." He goes, what have you done?" And I went, "Well, it's called The Ghost of New Orleans, and it's a dark, sounds like a funeral march to me. Do you know what I mean? So I've basically made a New Orleans funeral for the middle section. So the tune drops out, and an entire brass band and the marching down the road at a funeral comes in, and I'm playing this crazy like boogie piano thing. And it's basically when the saints go marching in, roughly, in this funeral thing. And it's one of the best things I've ever done, because you can't tell that it's not a real band. And it's all
samples.
Samples as in samples, but all played. Do you know what I mean? The sampled instruments from like Spitfire Audio and likes of that. But and then I've used went on YouTube. I found someone walking down the street in New Orleans at Mardi Gras, and it's all the street sounds of people walking around. So I put that in there, and it's what I mean. It sounds so good, and he loves it. But that whole album is like it's a fully orchestrated on top of songs. You know what I mean? And it's one of the best things I've done in ages. I absolutely loved it for fun. Do you know what I mean?
And this is the current album, isn't it?
Well, that one come out. This is not a space record. This is the Thomas Scott Quintet. So this is a solo record.
Okay, so
Marionette. That came out about 2 years ago, something like that. But the new space album is we actually recorded over the road there in a Pracky room.
You said this before, didn't you?
Yeah, literally. With nothing, no studio, no nothing, mate. We literally took a few mics and a few preamps. I'm lucky enough to own some decent gear. You know what I mean, from when I shut my studio down. And I literally just took a rack case, a couple of cases, went into a small rehearsal room, set the drum kit up, and just went, "Let's have it." Just recorded it, you know what I mean? And mixed it in the house. That's how I like to work now. You know what I mean? There's a few studios that I use, and occasionally we'll go around and do studios, but I mix everything in the house these days. It's like,
you've been doing it a long time, lad. It's not like you're just sitting there for the first time and just no. Like, obviously, because you've got some new artists or new bands that they record in the garage, and it just sounds absolutely terrible. Know what I mean? You've got the skills and the know-how to record it and put it through so that you can mix it. Know what I mean?
That's the thing. You get something out of it. That's good. I like things to be stylistic in a way. Not to me. I hate it when you get all these record producers that make everyone sound like the producer. You know what I mean? Josh Homme's like, although I love Queens of the Stone Age, he's a nightmare for it, because you can tell every record that he produces, because every record sounds like a Queens of the Stone Age record. It's like, you're supposed to make the band sound like the band, not you. That winds me up. Do you know what I mean? So I always like to make a record sound like the band. Whatever they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like polishing things too much. I don't see the point, because that's not how it sounds to me in a room. Do you know what I mean? I've kind of gone back like that, because I spent
more original sounds.
I spent too many years like that noughties whole section to work for Delta Sonic, and
we'll go into this now. Is because this is like late 90s, early 2000s, isn't it?
Early noughties. Like probably 02, 03 to about 06, something like that. A lot of them bands from Coral and the Zootons, the Dead 60s, Little Flames, which Miles Kane came from. It was a busy time, but they were always chasing the hits. And I learned the hard way that was the worst thing to do.
I feel blessed that I was involved in a very tiny small part. Coming in, seeing it all happen, know what I mean?
It was mad, well, remember we were doing your record and there was like Alex Turner from Arctic Monkeys in there constantly. Miles Kane and Dave McCabe and all that. Yeah, it was a good little hub. There was a lot of good music come out of there. A lot of good things happened. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what to do, and I learned a lot about what not to do. Especially about wasting money and doing things far too many times. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's when it's done, it's done. Do you know what I mean? This is one of the things that was one of the problems with Delta Sonic, is things were never done. Things took too many times. It's like it can always be a bit better. When maybe the song is just not that good. Do you know what I mean? That was one of the things I learned from that. Do you know what I mean? It was a fun time. I'm glad I did it.
You're always going to get that though, like, what I mean is, like, years later, or even months later, you're going to look at it and thought, oh, we could have done this better, we could have done that better.
Exactly.
But if you're going to be constant like that, the record's never going to come out, because it can always be better.
Get over it. Your next record will be better. That's how I see it. It's like you should just get the album finished, get your song finished, EP, whatever it is you're doing. Finish it, put it out, move on. Do you know what I mean? Because the next thing you do will be better. It always will. And the other thing about it is that I know so many people that have never put an album out because it's never good enough. It'll never get there. And it's like, but the problem is, if you keep going like this, you're never going to put an album out. So you need to just get it out, get over it. Okay, so you're not happy with it. You're not 100% happy with it, but you'll be more happy with the next one.
Move on.
And at least that way you'll have like a chronological journey of your development to look at.
Do you know what, lad? I tell this to all the artists when I'm doing A&R and stuff like that. If you go on my YouTube, you go back to the first videos, it's all the stuff that you produced from 2001 to 2006. And then if you carry on, it's like Mac of all trades and all the other people I work with. And if you carry on right up to now, I've got like over 250 mixtape tracks just on YouTube, just like that.
So good.
And people always tell me you fall down the rabbit hole. So if they like a song, they'll go and check another, and they go, wait there, he was releasing music in 2002, what's that sound like? Doesn't sound anything like what's being released now.
It shouldn't.
You know what I mean? Do you get me?
It genuinely shouldn't. It's also, you see a lot of bands that, Space's biggest problem, we've had this a lot, is everyone expects Female of the Species and Neighbourhood. That's all they ever want to listen to.
Because they were the popular ones in the day, weren't they?
But it's also, Tommy writes different stuff all the time, and the problem with Space was every album's completely different. Because, like, you know, we're doing ska now. We're doing ska tunes. What do you want? You know what I mean? And then we're doing an album that was like,
isn't that growth though? Because the band goes through growth, and
that's growth.
That's
all of my favourite bands. Most albums sound different. Sound completely different. Or even if you could have one album, there's like 20 tracks on it, and every tune's completely different from the next one. It's like you can never guess what you're going to get. And I've always preferred that. There's nothing worse to me than getting, there's like a band that you like and then you listen to their other albums and every album sounds exactly the same.
You got to bring something different, haven't you? Do you get me? It's like if you, okay, we've covered this subject, so we're going to cover this subject, so you can't just keep going back over the same subject or the same instrumentation. You know what I mean? It's got to be boring. Different. And
it gets stale. This is the thing. That's why so many bands, a lot of older bands, they try to keep going and then they just keep doing albums, and it's the same shit. They're just trying to recapture that big album again. It's like, what's the point? There's no point, because you're never going to get there again. The ones that didn't do that are the ones that generally find success rekindled. You know what I mean? Because people are like, oh, wow, remember them? Oh, that's good, isn't it? That's different. That happens a lot. Do you know what I mean? One of them things.
So you always get, I like their older stuff. Their older stuff was better because it's a time and a place. Because obviously, majority of the time, your favourite bands were from when you were aged 11 up to 18 years old. So that's because that was a time of your life that you was going through growth and development from a kid to an adult, know what I mean? So they're your favourite songs, so you're always going to go, oh no, they were the best back then, know what I mean?
Well, I used to find it difficult with a lot of people who don't move on, and they basically listen to the same 5 or 6 albums their entire lives. But then I realised that there's not many people like me or like us, like creative kind of people are always moving on and looking for them a new fresh outlook. You know, you're looking for something to rekindle your brain. You know what I mean? To inspire you.
You want to be excited, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like as an artist manager, I always say to the artists, because we manage a lot, I'll be like, excite me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like make me excited about your next project. Like if I'm not excited, I need to be excited. Do you want me to work for you? Do you want me to do all these things for you? Excite me. Exactly. You know what I mean? Get me excited.
Get me interested.
Yeah.
This is the thing, isn't it? This is how it should be. But a lot of people don't even think like that. I think the majority of the world doesn't think like that, and that's not a bad thing. That's just it's also something that artists need to get used to as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's tough, innit? How people think is kind of it's an integral part of the game. Yeah. Especially now, because attention spans now have
since TikTok, lad.
Gone down to nothing, lad. Absolutely TikTok. Nothing. Obviously, on one hand, you've got the way the media worked. That they thought that the attention span of the average person was down to like a couple of minutes, but long form podcasting has blown up. Yeah. People are watching 4-hour conversations. But when it comes to music, it's gone the exact opposite way. Yeah. Almost. Remember that film Demolition Man? Yeah. It reminds me of that.
Oh no! What was that song?
Where they're sitting in donut.
Oh, and the hot dogs.
The hot dogs, man.
Big kids, sissy kids, even kids with chicken pox.
Exactly. It's got to the point where it's like jingles. This is the thing. It's the TikTok generation. Social media generation is determining the way music is consumed, and it's also determining how things are proliferated around the world.
I was thinking of releasing a new album and every song was like 50 seconds long.
Do it.
Do you get me? Like it's literally like the chorus is 2 lines, the bars are like 6, and then to go on, there's your song, to go on to whatever you want.
It's funny how tastes change over time. This is the thing. It's hard to predict. It's virtually impossible to predict. This is why I always say to people who basically artists that hunt for the and try and follow trends always fail. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I said, lad, do you know what your ethos is? Just it's the same as mine. I always say, just be yourself. Stop hunting. Stop trying to trend chase and stuff like that.
There's no point. Just,
do you know what I mean?
If you do what's honest to you, and you just don't make songs for other people, make songs for yourself. If you buzz off it, someone else is going to buzz off it. That's the key.
Because it's the relatability thing, isn't it? It's about people relating to you.
Yeah,
know exactly. What I mean?
That's the thing. And if you love what you do,
then there's so many people out there.
You're winning. Yeah. And end of story. It might take a little while. Do you know what I mean? But it's one of them things, isn't it?
So let's come back. We've gone off a little bit there, but all good information for artists and people watching. So we're down, so we're at like 2006. We've gone through the Zootons, Dead 60s, Delta Sonic, all that type of thing. The Ranch.
Well, around that period as well. Me and Tommy got Drellers together, which was like a punk band.
Yeah. I didn't know you were in that, but I'd heard of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd seen the posters around town and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was that 03 or 04 we got it together. We started doing it. And then we were gigging, doing loads of supports for loads of like punk bands and all this kind of stuff, playing loads of shitholes.
Yeah.
And Tommy, the best thing about Tommy is Tommy's like, a lot of people who have had a lot of success and played a lot of big gigs would have issue doing what Tommy did. He refused to play any Space songs. Yeah. He basically, it was like it didn't exist. When we were promoting the Drellers, when people were putting our band on, he wouldn't let them put Tommy Scott from Space. Yeah. He just wanted to turn up and play this.
As the Drellers. Yeah. This is a new thing.
There's a funny thing that happened actually. There's a venue in Edinburgh called Bannerman's. This small, we played there, a Space, not long ago. It's only a small gaff, but it's cool. Do you know what I mean? Loads of our mates played it. It's really, really funny. But we played there as Drellers in probably 08 or 09, something like that. And it was really funny because there wasn't that many people in there. There's probably like 40 people in the whole venue or something like that. And there was 2 fellas that turned up who knew it was Tommy from Space, and they were massive Space fans.
Yeah.
They lasted 2 songs and fucked off, got out. And, and on the way out, he said to the promoter outside, he went, absolute shit, that's terrible. I can't believe he's doing that crap. I'll never come and see him again. But I think it was 3-4 years ago, they came to see us again. Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, he's a boss. And then he told us the story, relayed the story, we were laughing at it. So.
It's just a change of music, isn't it?
It was a change of music. He had to get this thing out of his system. Do you know what I mean? We did there was a few bands after that. Dwellers lasted about 10 years. Thereabouts.
Yeah.
And then we did a ska band called the Red Scare. And we got a saxophone player from one of my all-time favourite bands, the Wizards of Twiddly, big.
The Wizards of what? Twiddly?
The Wizards of Twiddly, yeah. Very Zapperish kind of band. Musical geniuses. One of my favourite bass players, Andy Frizzell, is band. Yeah. But we got Simon Campbell playing saxophone on it. And funny enough, the album that I did with him, with that band, we recorded in, would have been 2010. End of 2010, we recorded that album.
Yeah.
And it finally came out over lockdown. 11 years later.
That's heavy.
Something like that. It was.
So you were working on it for 11 years?
No, we recorded it in 2 days.
Oh.
Mixed it.
But just never released it for 11 years?
We got Space back together. So that record never come out.
Yeah.
It just sat there. Sat on a shelf. And when I did Tommy's solo record and I reorchestrated that record, at the same time, the lad who basically paid for it and said, I want to put this out, he goes to me, you haven't got anything else lying around, have you? What about that band you did years ago, Dwellers? And I went, oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Went back, found the masters, because I keep everything. And I just remastered it and put it out on vinyl. Sold it out dead quick.
That's heavy, lad.
It was boss, it was loads of fun, you know what I mean? So yeah, I did that for a while.
How many hard drives have you got, lad? Let's be honest.
Mate,
you must have like stacks of hard drives.
Not just hard drives, I've got 2-inch tapes, lad. I have got room full of 2-inch tape from right the way back.
It's crazy.
I've got tapes of me and my sister playing on a 1/4-inch. My first ever recorder was a Fostex R8 reel-to-reel in like 1987. And I've got all that.
And you've kept it all?
Yeah, I've got all of it.
Yeah.
I've got hard drives coming out my ears, mate. Coming out my ears. So that was kind of around the time that I set the label up when we did Anti-Pop.
Yeah. What year was Anti-Pop? Because I remember that, because I remember being proud of you when that came out, because when I seen that and seen it developing dead quick.
It came up and we did all right. We won Record Label of the Year. We got me tingles tattooed, me knuckles tattooed, which is kind of funny. It's one kind of me head. And you know what's funny is I don't like award shows, don't like award ceremonies. I'm just not into any of that crap.
I am sorry. I am.
That's all right. It's just not for me. I just don't. If people buy the music, I'm quite happy with it. But you know, it's just not for me. So when they invited us all to go, and I did a very bad thing.
Come on.
Very bad thing, mate. I got 2 of the most insane punks that I knew at the time. My mate Swifty and Pete Lunt, bass player from the Wasters, great lad, mate. But I fed them full of acid.
Serious?
Lad, sent them into the thing, to go and pick up the award.
Yeah.
And they were in this room with the tables and all that, you know, proper, the award shows, proper big thing, the big stage and all that kind of shit. And they were on this table with Dave Picciolinghi off their heads, mate, like flying to the point where they go up to accept the thing, they fall on the stage, they get the award, start talking utter nonsense about how shit they are and how full of shit they all are, and they get ejected and the bouncers throw them out.
That's heavy. That is absolutely heavy.
We were laughing our heads off, mate. But while they're doing that, I'm getting my knuckles tattooed and drinking this 25-year-old bottle of whiskey with my mate Billy Kelly, getting absolutely hammered, just laughing our heads off. Like, oh God. So yeah, we never got nominated again.
I should think not.
Exactly.
You got to not, you were wasted.
Okay, let's not bring up me. Yeah.
Carpet, brush.
You did the sensible thing of sending other people. I sent myself after 4 bottles of white wine and a bottle of champagne.
That'll do it, lads. There you go. It sounds like pretty much the same effect.
Yeah, pretty much, lad. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was fun. But Anti-Pop was basically for us to get Drellers records out, because no one wanted to sign the Drellers.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, because it was nuts, and it wasn't space. And then there was a few bands around Liverpool that I absolutely adored, like the Dead Class, Elmo and the Sticks, and there was a few of them. At Superfast Girly Show.
I'd seen that one everywhere, the Superfast Girly Show.
That was an outlet. We just had, that was Pasha, who is Superfast Girly Show. It was him and another lad, Sefton, and then eventually it was me. I joined the space drummer, Alan. Well, that was a good 10 years doing that as well. So all them records, it was just it was somewhere to do it, somewhere to put it out. Funny thing about the Superfast Girly Show record, we did a whole album and recorded it all live in one go, and then it fit on a single 7-inch vinyl. And then when we put it out, the BPI, the British Phonographic Industry, said to me, it doesn't qualify as an album. Like, what do you mean? It's an album. It's 10 songs. It was 15 minutes and 11 seconds. She said, it's under the threshold. It's not an album. Like, but it's 10 songs.
Well, was it like 2 minutes a song?
If that.
Still 10 songs, isn't it?
Still 10 songs.
Jeremy?
It was just...
Did you do that purposely, though, to get it on a 7-inch?
No, just happened to be that way. And to be honest, some of the songs were that fast. It was fast, mate. It was fast, loud. We did the reunion gig a few weeks ago.
Did you?
We hadn't played in 5 years. And it was our mate Tony, who helped run Antipop with me, Tony and Alec. It was his 50th birthday, and he just asked us to get back together and do a gig for him. So it was us and Elmo and the Sticks and a band called Two Sick Monkeys. So we just got to it was weird, lad. It was like going back 15 years.
Where was that? Choice of venue?
Outpost, lad.
We do loads in Outpost.
The reason we did it at Outpost is because our mate Helen set up, opened Maguire's, and we did loads of gigs from Maguire's. So it was kind of
Maguire's Pizza Bar.
And it's the same gaff, innit? So that's why Tony picked there to do it. It's like small little sweaty hole. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely.
So many gigs there.
It was just so funny because what was even weird is we were all stood outside, and it was like everyone was having the same conversations that we had a decade before. Do you know, it was weird. It was just so odd, and we're all old and got kids, and it's just like, what's going on here? This is mad. It was bizarre.
The music doesn't change that much.
No, like, we played exactly the same set as the last time we played.
That's what I'm saying. The music doesn't change. Obviously, the service providers like Spotify and the way music is digested changes, but the musicians themselves don't actually change. Do you get me?
What I do love about all the, I know we're digressing again, but what I love about the whole digital Spotify streaming thing is I've had emails and messages of people who are like 14, 15-year-old kids in like Brazil. Going, I heard that album you made 25 years ago, and it's blew me head off, and it's made me want to play in a band.
These are the best messages, aren't they?
It means everything, mate. Honestly, it really does. It's just mad. Things I'd forgotten I'd even played that even existed. And someone goes, "Do you remember that band you played? You played bass on this record in 1993." You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my god, how mad is that? They're
the moments. I think. They
really are.
They actually are. Like, that's why. That's what the blessing is. You know what I mean?
It's one of them things, isn't it? It's like some people work all their lives, and you know they've got a house and they've got some dough and they've got a nice car and the kids go through college and blah blah blah. But when they die, they're dead. And you're talking maybe 1 or 2 generations, and they'll have been forgotten. Whereas we spend our whole lives putting things into the world
to change people's lives.
That are,
you know what I mean?
And it could be 150 years down the line, and someone will hear something and make them go, wow, who was that dude back then? Who did that? Because I know I do it still now, you know what I mean? I hear music I've never heard before, and it's 100 years old. It's like, what's that? Do you know what I mean? How cool is that? What's going on?
I don't want to steal too much of your interview because this is all about you, Phil. Know what I mean? But I just want to say something. One of the mixtapes that you produced back in 2002, 2003, we got like 200 hard copies done, and they went into Probe Records and HMV and all them. And I was performing at a festival like 5 years ago. And there was like this big record show on outside, and there was a big chalkboard. And I went up to the chalkboard and wrote on it Royzy like that. And the record fella grabbed me and started going, "Are you Royzy?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "You're Royzy." I was like, "Yeah, why?" And then he got his phone out, right? Yeah. And he showed me that mixtape on his phone. And he went, "Are you him?"
How mad is
and I went, "Yeah." And he went, "I've had this on my phone for so many years and all this." And I was just like, "She's crazy," you know what I mean?
It's boss, isn't it? That's exactly the same kind of thing. It's unbelievable, isn't it? The amount of times I've been at festivals or I've been in different countries looking through record shops and I've found one of my records in there. That's happened hundreds of times. Like, it's countless. It's ridiculous how many times. All over the world, different places.
How does it make you feel, though?
Gives me a little buzz.
It does, doesn't it?
I always have a little smile. Every single time. It's just like, how cool is that? Do you know what I mean? It's
like a lot of people, like I see a portion of people, like they try and get into the music industry just solely to make money. You know what I mean?
It's not about that.
Not going to do that
No.
nowadays.
It's never been about money. I think it's more about recognition, to be honest.
Well, there's that as well. But to me, it's not even about that. It's to me, it's a case of this is what I do. I'm compelled to do. I have to make things. I have to create things, and it's what happens. That a really good thing to do with noise is audio. So, that's just what I'm good at. What I've always liked to create. It's one of them things. That's what probably another reason why I don't like getting caught up in things too much. I'd rather get something finished and get it out. And move on.
And move on to the new project.
I have to always move on. I can't have things lying around too long. It just winds me up. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm done with that. See you later. What's next?
I get that.
I've always been like that. I just have to. You have to keep evolving. Keep doing things. You know what I mean? This is the thing with it. It's.
Well, speaking of growing, so we set up Anti-Pop in 2008. Is that's correct?
Yeah, the ball started rolling late 07, 08. 09 is when the first releases hit the shops. That was Orchestra of Tears by the Drellers and Pulse and a Heartache by the Dead Class. They were the first two records.
So, where did you go from there? So
Anti-Pop had so many releases. There was so many records that we did. Loads of different bands. I initially set it up to do the whole Anti-Pop thing. It wasn't really against anything. It was just I just wanted it to be different. I didn't want to follow a grain. You know what I mean? I didn't want it to be stuck in a niche, but it ended up getting stuck in a niche. It really did me head in, to be quite honest. But
became a punk label, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, it just became exclusively a punk label, which that was never the initial intention. But I was that busy doing a lot of other things that it just went that way. And obviously because of what we were doing and we were getting a bit of notoriety about it, them kind of bands came to us, which is not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
A lot of the music that we put out is still standby, definitely, without a doubt. It's still going now. It's mostly doing a lot of older stuff, and a lot of the old catalogues still being sold. But I don't put any time into it anymore. I've got other things that I'm doing, you know what I mean? So that played its natural course, if you know what I mean. And then in end of 2011, we got Space back together. And then
did that kind of force you to make a move because of obviously being involved in a bigger, without
got really busy,
being nasty, a bigger band.
We got really busy real quick. We were doing all the festivals, new albums and all this kind of stuff. And then around the similar time was, I think it was 08, I started doing Lewis Berry as well. Louis Berry. So that kind of took up a lot of time as well. Which I'm still doing to this day. So from then on, it's just been music, and I've started doing a lot of media composition now. Which I'm really enjoying. So I'm doing trailer music. I do stuff for like Netflix shows and some games and
sync music.
A lot of sync music, a lot of stuff like that. But it's very orchestral, but some of it's very weird as well. There's a lot of different kind of. I can do anything I want basically. I've got an empty palette. I get a synopsis or I get a bit of video, and then I'll go from there. And anything goes. You know what I mean? That's
and a studio, would you?
It's what?
So, and your own studio as well, so you can just go in whenever you want.
I'm in the house, basically, now. Since COVID, I had a studio in town for a while, but then when COVID hit, and we lost all the work, and my daughter was off school, and my missus had to work, so I literally moved my studio back to the house.
And
then I'm still there. I've never gone out.
But
it's not like I don't get anything done, because I still get stuff done. So it used to get like that. I used to get to the point where when I had a studio in my house, after my studio shut in 2010, I had a studio in my house for a few years, and it was, I got very lazy, lad. Very, very lazy. But now I don't. I just get on with it, get the job done. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a lot less dependence, should we say. I don't abuse substances anymore, so I'm as clean as they get.
Well done, lad.
So that's took a long time. Quite a long time. But that's probably helping to the fact that I can get shit done. I get things finished. You know what I mean? So that's good. And now I'm making guitars as well.
There we go.
So
give your business, but guitar business a plug.
Thumpworks it's called.
Thumpworks.
Thumpworks. With I've got a few designs that I've done. I've made 20 odd instruments. I'm actually 31, I think it is now. I think it's 31 now. I think. So I'm getting to the point where I'm nearly ready to start promoting it. Not quite yet. But I'm waiting till I've got my designs absolutely nailed.
Perfect.
I can replicate them. That's the key. I've got to be able to replicate it. Each one's got to be identical. Well, as close to identical can be. So as soon as I've got to that point, I will start marketing them. I've got a few instruments out with a few people, with a few good players who are giving me pointers. And luckily, with the basses, I play bass, so I know what I want.
Are you going to do like a Jimmy Iovine with beats? All the artists in action, give them a guitar. This is a Thumpworks guitar.
Well, I'm doing one for Tommy. I've designed. Well, he's designed it. He's drawn it. So I'm just making it for him. Trying to figure out. He did something. Tommy's a bit daft. He's off his head. You know what I mean? And he put this horn that basically bends out, so it's like a weird horror design, and basically when you hold the guitar, this horrible bit of wood just goes in your stomach. Like,
you don't want that.
It's like, lad, what are you doing?
It's not going to go well.
That's not going to end well at all.
Especially with all the crowd surfing he does as well.
He's off his head still. He's nearly 60, the crazy bastard. He's off his head. So I've got I'm enjoying that though. It's something different. It's I'll always spend a lot of time in the studio, and I'm touring a lot again. It's nice to be able to go and make wood chips. I like something different. The process. I've got into it.
I think that the thing with that is, as well as music, is like your full-time job in it. So I think the making of the guitars is obviously it's still music, but it's something a bit creative that you can move away from the actual audio, the sound of music.
It's a different way, because to be honest, I've never since I was a kid, I've never had another job. I've only ever I've made me living out of music. Like physically playing music or making records, or that's what I've done my entire life. And it was lockdown that made the change. Lockdown was like, hang on, I've lost a lot of money. Overnight, I lost a lot. 2 years.
They cancelled 2 years worth of tours, didn't they?
Just gone, mate. Literally wiped off, gone. And it was horrible. Really, really tough time. So I decided, what am I going to do here? I need to diversify a little bit. You know what I mean? So I taught myself how to use Fusion 360 and started designing things in a 3D thing, and then bought a CNC machine. And then slowly learned the art of making guitars, because if anyone knows basses, it's me. I know I'm a fussy man. Do you know what I mean? Really, really fussy. I don't play crap instruments. I've always collected old, really.
Every bass that gets built, are you going to test it yourself to make sure that before it goes out?
If I wouldn't play it, I won't give it to someone else.
Makes sense.
This is, and to be honest, the whole reason I started doing it is because my favourite bass is a 1963 pre-CBS Fender Precision bass. It was originally owned by Tony Williams of Steelers Wheel, stuff in the middle with you and all that.
Stuck in the middle.
This bass is. It's unbelievable, and I was flying it all over the world, fucking doing all sorts of gigs, and then we played in Qatar in Doha for the World Cup in 2019, before all this kicked off, and It was in a flight case, and usually when you're in an airport, they check it into the baggage, so it goes through the security thing, disappears, and you're fine. These made me leave it on a trolley in the middle of the airport and walk away from it. And I was looking at my base on a trolley in the middle of an airport, and I had to walk away, and I was just going, that's going to cost me 10 grand to replace that. There's no way. Do you know what I mean? And I thought to me, I can't be doing this. And I spent money getting custom base people to make me bases to try and find something that compared or come close to it, and no one even come close to it. So the only way I could replace it was either spending another 10 grand buying another vintage one, which I did. I hated it. It was awful. So I thought the only way I've got of doing this is I'm going to have to learn how to make these things myself so I can replace it. And I've got to the point after nearly 2 years of doing it that the last 2 necks I made, I really love. I'm like, it's getting to that. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as I'm happy, if I'll play it, I know other people are going to love it. And everyone who's ever played me bass has always said that's amazing. So if I can do that, I'll be a happy man.
There you go.
So and the other trick is they're going to be cheap. They're going to be affordable. Well, relatively affordable. You know what I mean?
What's affordable, Phil?
well, put it this way: there's lads. I've paid 4,000 quid for a custom bass to be made.
And
I hated it. I hated it. It was awful. It was well made. It was well made, but I hated it. It didn't feel right. If I can make, it's only 2 bits of wood, 2 or 3 bits of wood and a bit of metal. And do you know what I mean? If I can make instruments and sell them for around £1,000, grand and a bit, I'll be happy. Handmade by me. Takes me a few days to make it. Do you know what I mean? That's the idea.
Sounds good. You can start linking up with all the up and coming bands and that. Throw the bass out and play that at that gig. Get a photographer in, take some pictures, and then start putting them out there. You know what I mean? On Instagram and Facebook.
That's where I'm going to get to. As soon as I've nailed one that other people like and I like, and I can replicate it, which I've possibly just done, then eventually I'll start marketing them. Hopefully, like beginning of next year, I'll start marketing it.
It sounds good. But we're coming to near the end of the podcast now. But do you want to just plug Space's new tour, which is coming before we wrap up?
Well, we've just reissued Spiders and Tin Planet, which were the big albums from 96 and 98 respectively. They've all come out on vinyl. We've got like picture discs, and we've got like boss coloured, weird, funny coloured vinyl. And from the end of Feb 2023, we'll be touring Spiders and Tin Planet in full. Not quite in the arrangement of the records, but you know, every song on the record will be played. That's with the original guitar player as well, Jamie Murphy.
Did you say it was a 67 date? No.
Oh no, that's what we lost. That's what we lost.
That was
when COVID happened. We had 67 dates in the thing. We played 3 and then gone. So, no, this is I think there's 14 planned for that tour.
Okay.
For that reunion for Tingle tour, and then we'll be carrying on the rest of the year. Some US dates coming up. I think Australia's planned as well for next year. There's a few others. In and out, and then there'll be lots of Louis Berry gigs as well.
There we go.
Dotted in and out. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a busy couple of years, thankfully.
It's awesome. But what I wanted to say is massive thanks for coming on. Been a pleasure having you here today. Like I said, I haven't seen you for 17 years.
In a long time.
You know what I mean? It's good to re-link up. Obviously, stayed in touch on Facebook and social media and stuff. So it's been a pleasure having you in today.
Awesome. Mate, it's been great seeing what you've done, lad. You've really come. You've done a lot. You've accomplished a lot in the last few years. The company's doing well. Loads of great artists. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
It's good, mate. You're doing well. You're working hard.
Thank you. We all work hard. But if you want to follow more from Phil and Space Band, go
spacetheband.com.
spacetheband.com. They're also on Facebook as well as Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. So, you know, if you've got any questions, you can tweet them out. I'm sure Phil will get back in touch. But this has been Liverpool City Community Podcast. I'm Royzy Rothschild, Phil Hartley, Space. We'll see you soon. Peace out.